And I can't remember her name now, said she was just starting to sew and she had got this downloaded, this Lekala pattern. It's a nice pattern. It looks fairly quick to make. I haven't made it yet and she wanted to know how I would go about doing it. This is it here. Not totally the kind of top that I would wear, but I figured I'll try it. I'm using this fabric here a little bit too busy, I would agree. But I figured it's not totally my liking, so this is going to be my tester. If it looks nice, then I might make another one. What I will do myself is I might make longer sleeves, because obviously we older women, sometimes you like to cover your arms, and I'm one of them. I've got this this thing hanging on me that my son used to say years ago, that apparently old women look awful with bat wing arms. So I try to cover up as much as I can. Anyway. So this is what the pattern consists of: a front, a back, collar, sleeve, and then the collar. Oh no, I've just started recording and Lady Muck's come. She says I'll make as much noise as I can, won't you? Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's say hello to you. She's not happy with me because I went and left them on we went on holiday. Twice we've gone on holiday and you haven't had me around, have you? No, twice. But now you're happy, aren't you? Because you're in my arms, aren't you? Yes, you are. Now she's a happy girl. Now she's a happy girl. Listen to her. Yeah. You gonna say meow? Oh, you are. If you're happy and you know it, say meow. If you're happy and you know it, say meow. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, say meow. There you go, she can sing. So this is going to be the collar. It's going to be on the fold there, and the fold's going to run along the length there. It's going to be single layer fabric. You only cut one piece of that, and then you've got your front, and that is on the fold. Sorry, my cat is rubbing her face against my hand and it's shaking the camera. So you've got your fold there, and then you've got the back, and then you've got the sleeves. Now I'm going to make my sleeves longer because I want a longer sleeve. That is the front. The steeper curved one is the front, and the one that's got a lower slope to it, that's the back. And here, what I've done here is I've marked all of them. There are little notches there. Can you see those little notches? Those are the notches, or the V's that you get on a normal big 4 pattern. So you've got 2 there, 2 there and 2 there. That's going to be your centre front of your blouse. Those are going to be where the shoulder seams are. So you're matching those areas. Then you've got 2 here on the left hand side. This is for a zip placement. This is where you're going to put your zip if you have a zip. I actually found that I didn't need any zip at all in mine. You could try it. If you're doing a toile first, you can see whether it's going to work or not without a zip, but I didn't need one. Then you've got your darts here, and there's 1, 2, 3. This is on the centre front, 4, 5. So that when you open it out, you've got 2 on the left, 1 in the middle, and 2 on the right. Now, it doesn't really say which way you move the darts to, but I made mine lie out away towards the shoulder, but some people do it the other way. Now I'll show you 2 pictures of 2 people who've made 2 blouses, very similar. One has the darts folding that way, the other one has the darts folding inwards, and you'll see what I mean by the pictures that I put up. Then on the back you have a dart here that is a side dart. I'll show you how I do darts, how I set my darts up when I'm doing my pattern. And then, as I say, the sleeves here, what I would do is make that back one stand out more. Usually you use a double triangle, so you go like that on the edge, and that's a double triangle which we'd put there, or make some indication where the back, which is the back and which is the front, because then that will help you find out where the back and the front is here. Now I've missed this one, these here, I've put red circles around those, but I've missed that one there. It's kind of hidden by the letter right, and then on the other one it's hidden here by exactly the same letter, but those are matching notches. That's your notch that's going to go on, that's going to match the back sleeve, and that's your notch that's going to match the front sleeve. Now I do my pattern slightly different. I prefer to sew the shoulder seams and then put the sleeve in and then sew the side seams. I used to sew down there and then set the sleeves in, but I prefer to put the sleeves in first, and so you'll probably see how I do it. I haven't put a zip in mine, so obviously you're going to have to gen yourself up on how to put a zip in, because I haven't shown you what I do there. I've done a little paper version of this to let you see how the darts lie. I've just basically folded these darts over and stuck them with a bit of sellotape, just to let you see how the curve is. And the way that these curve, the way these darts go, actually allows for the bust curve here, and you'll see what I mean when you see the pictures. And what I'm using is this fabric. I've doubled it up, so this is the selvage edge. It was nice and straight, but a ladyship there decided to sit herself on it, and I've got the folded edge here. So how do I flatten my patterns, especially if I've used sellotape, because sellotape would melt under the heat? In this particular case, I turn it upside down. My iron is switched off, and it's still hot to touch, but I quickly zoom over the fabric or the paper as quickly as I can, just to flatten it, but not to press too long on the seams, and that will flatten it out. It's on the wrong way round. There you go, and there, that's it, pressed. The back curves in, so that isn't on the fold. The front is the one that is on the fold. So this is the back here that I've got here, because it's got one dart here, and the front has darts at the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one on the fold and that one over there. So this one's going to be put onto the fold, the front part, and basically I check that the bottom fabric is going to, you see what's happened? This bottom fabric has been cut badly, so I need to pull it down a bit away from that, so that when I come to cut, I don't find that I've got one shoulder that's not right. So that's fine there. I'm going to cut this, lay this on here, pin it, and then we'll do the other half. The other half will go on here nicely on for me there. That's going to be the back, and the back's going to have a seam down it at the back, and it's got the dart there. So let's pin these on and we'll take it from there. Let's hope the cat keeps out of the way. So I've pinned the front and the back. I've got plenty of fabric, so I don't need to worry about length. But if you were worried about how much fabric you had, then I suggest you pin it out first and then cut it out. In my case, I'm going to cut it out before I go on to the next bit because I'm restricted on the table. I have and I want to get more room to pull this across to show you what I do. It says you'll need an invisible zipper or an ordinary zip, whichever you prefer to do, but it just says you'll need a zip. It doesn't say what length you need. One thing that I must point out is I have asked for a seam allowance when I got this pattern printed, so that if your pattern has 2 lines like that, then you have a seam allowance. If you don't have 2 lines, then you need to cut 1 centimetre away from the pattern edge because it hasn't got a seam allowance. So this is the collar, and it needs to go on the straight of grain. That says straight of grain. And so it needs to have the straight grain from going along the length of the fabric, which means that it's actually going to be at a slight angle like that. You only need to cut one of them. So this is double fabric that I've got here, so I only need to cut on one single fabric when I'm cutting it. Then I've got my sleeve pattern to put on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down a fraction there, so that I can get my sleeve pattern on here, and then I can get a little bit of extension along here to make it into a longer sleeve. This is on a double fabric, that's going to be cut on a single thickness. So now I have 4 pattern pieces, the neck, which is only on single fabric, the back, which is the front, which is on a fold and it's got darts there, and the back, which has a dart in the middle. And then here I've got the sleeves, which I've extended to make longer sleeves, and basically I've just gone down the edge. Probably needs trimming down the side a bit more, but I've gone down the edge and I've added extensions. Okay, so before I do anything, I want to mark these notches on the fabric. That's a notch, that's a notch, and that's a notch. The front of the sleeve, if you look, the sleeve has a deep curve there and a sharper curve there. This is the front and that's the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double snip there, single snip there, and a single snip there. So basically turn it round and I that. Check that I've got it through the both. Yes, I've got it through both fabrics there. So that's a sleeve done. Now we'll start with this one, which is the collar, and that's just going to have a single snip where all these little notches are. So now we do the darts. So the way I would do the darts is like this. Take a pin and slip it through. Take a pin and the same there, slip it through. Right, and I do the same on this one. Take a pin, slip it right through the fabric, the paper and the fabric, and the same there, and the same there. Right, then I undo all the pins on the blouse. There's also a dart here, right in the middle, so that needs a pin there, and it needs a pin here right in the middle, because this is going to be on the fold. So a pin there. Right, so then I remove all the pins from around the blouse, apart from the ones that are on the darts. And then I'm going to ease this out of the paper by tearing out the paper a little bit. Just by tearing it a fraction like that. And ease it out of the paper, but it stays in the fabric. I'm going to put it down because I can't do it with one hand. So now what I've done is I've eased them through the holes in the paper. So I've got my beads, my pins here. I've got one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. You can just see the black one. Then I've got one there, and one here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the paper off, and then I'll show you how I do it from here. And I've got the other side, and you can see all the pins there sticking up. Can you see them all sticking up there? So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take some more pins, and I'm going to push them exactly in those same spaces, same places. So one goes there, one goes here, one goes here, and this is where beaded ones are very handy, because then you can A, see them, and B, they don't come out so easily. One there, one there. Right where that is, one here, one there, and because that's the center front, I don't need one there. Now then, what I'm going to do now is ease the fabric apart, and when I ease it apart, you'll see the pins come away like that, because the beads are on the other side. So I'll peel that back like that. Do the same again there. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand, so it's not exactly very easy, and it's peeling down there. And do the same again there and there. And then one left, this one here. Where are you? There, one left there, that one there. Right, so I now have all my pins for where the darts are. Now you can't really see them, but basically that one there and that one there, they come together. So what we're going to do is we're going to, these have to come together to form a dart, and that's the bottom of your dart. These have to come together to form a dart, and that's the bottom of your dart. This is the middle one. These have to come together as a dart, and that one there is where the bottom of the dart is. These have to come together as a dart, and that's your bottom. And then these two come together as a dart, and that's your bottom. So I'll put them together. What I do is push it up like that. I've got the pin there, and I've got two pins together here. I don't know if you can see them, two pins there. I'll show you there. Right, two pins. So I'm going to pinch those together, and they have to meet exactly where they touch there. I take one out and pin it there, and there's one still in there, so I can take that out. Right, and then I go down to where the dart is there, where that pin is there. This one here that I've got, I can put that there, and then, so basically I've got it like that. Can you see there's a pin there and a pin there? I take this one out of here that's sticking up there. Can you see it sticking up? I take that out, and I'm going to put that along the middle there. So that will go along there. So I end up with 3 pins like that, and that's your dart. So I'm going to do the same with all the others. Although I've shown you how the darts are pinned, they actually only need to be sewn for 1 centimetre from the edge of the fabric at the top. So then the back, we do the same thing. We put a pin in there, a pin in the bottom end, which is there, and I tend to do 2 here, 1, 1, 2. So that's those. So I've got a pin there, 2 pins there, and a pin there. I'm going to take all the pins off from around the edge, and then I will ease this off the paper again. So I'm left with a pin here, 2 pins here, 1, 2, the black one, and then 1 down here. You can just see a black one there. So I do the same as before, turn it over, make sure these pins are well in, otherwise they may drop out. It isn't easy because I'm using a pattern fabric, but I'll turn it over, and then I add pins to the other side. This is the back. I have a dart down here, This is the centre back seam.
And have a dart down there. So the first thing that we need to do before we do anything is
to sew all the darts and the back seam.
So this is the darts done, the front pleats. I've done it about an inch down, and then I pressed those to that way and those that way. Left this so that it's not pressed and firm.
I realised the one in the middle is the wrong way, and I need to do it exactly like the other ones and turn it as an inverted pleat. The back seam, the back darts and the front darts are all sewn and pressed on the back.
And then we sew the shoulder seam and we sew the right side seam because the zip is going to go in the left hand side. So let's do that. What we'd do would be to sew about a couple of inches there or an inch there, and then fit your zip down there and down to about your hip level, and then sew down there. So your zip would be inserted into the side seam as you would any other zip. I'm going to get away with it by not doing that. I think I'm probably going to have it so it opens, because my hips are quite wide and I like a bit of movement. I'm going to make that into a vent. I'm going to make that open up into a vent like that. Right, this is where I stray from the norm. I've sewn my shoulder seams, but I'm going to sew my sleeves in before I sew my side seams. I open my neck up like that and I sew my sleeves into that space. I prefer to do that and then sew down the arm. What I've done is that's the neck. This is the body, and I've pinned the sleeve to the body, and I'll sew it all first, and then I shall sew up the side seams, up the side sleeve and down the sides, and leave this. If you were doing a zip, you'd leave it down, you'd put your zip in later on. So as you can see, I've put the sleeves in, set the sleeves in here, and they're still open along the side and down along here. If I was putting a zip in, I would close the seam up to there, close the seam down here and put the zip in the middle there, but I'm not going to put a zip in. So instead I'm going to put it right sides together, and I'm going to sew along there, down there to about that distance, so I've got a bit of a vent on the hip, so I'm not feeling as tight on my hips, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Looking fine. So after I've done that, I've just got the neck to do and the hems on the sleeve and the bottom to do. The thing I do like to do is I like to top stitch the seams here. So down the back seam I have top stitched it. I've seamed it and then I've laid it flat like a flat fell, and then I've top stitched. I just think it just finishes it off for me. So now that's still the collar there. I've sewn up the side seams down here. I've made a little vent because I don't want it to go all the way down. Pinned that. I've got to sew that yet. And I've done the same on the other side and pinned the vent. I've just taken this hem up here on the sleeves, double row of stitches. I'm going to press the side seam, and then I'll stitch up there and turn the hem up at the bottom, and then that leaves us with the collar.
The collar says, number 4, fold the collar in half lengthwise and sew the short ends. Start and finish the stitch exactly near the marked line of the collar connecting seam. Sew top collar into the neckline, turn the seam allowance of the lower collar inside and top stitch into the top collar connecting seam. Now, it depends on how you read that, because I assumed when it says stitch the sew the short ends, that it meant sew it to form like a collar that's continuous. But I noticed on one of the pictures, someone, and on the diagram, someone has actually done a collar that has a little open bit at the back. I actually made mine with it all closed.
So what I've done is I've sewn the back seam of the collar like that. I've pressed the seam open, and then I've pinned it right sides together to the actual blouse top, and that centre back to centre back where the seam is there, and then pinned it all the way around. I will now sew all the way around there, and I'll take it to the next step. So now I have the collar like that, like a big tube, and I'm going to turn it over like that, and then I shall hand stitch it along there. Turn it the other way around to make it look life a lot easier. That over there to there, like that. So that's the collar, that's the back, and that's the front, centre front. So what I'm going to do is we're going to hand stitch along there. So we start at the back, at this centre back, and we'll carry on round. I do like it actually, it's nicer than I thought it would be. I will do what they did, what it should have happened. As you see, the back of the collar, I've done like a roll collar. I should really have a little vent down the back, and that might make it lie a little bit better here, because I've noticed it starting to roll up a bit. So yes, other than that, I do like it. I like it with the longer sleeves. I just basically went straight down. It makes them look like they're bell sleeves. So that's rather nice. And I think I might make it taper out a bit more on the hip, because I feel that I'm constantly pulling it down. And I just would like a little bit more shape on the side. It would actually make a nice kind of tunic. A bit more length and a bit more width, and it'll look a nice tunic. So yes, I'm very pleased with it. I didn't think I would be, but I am. Oh, it's there. So there you go. I am very happy with this, and I would consider making another one. So watch this space, you never know. Catch you next time. Bye.